music fades away and laughter's had its time, we settle down to stories told in metered prose or rhyme. For every giggle, every tear has led to something true. It's a chronicle of dreams that grow ironical, with twists and turns and lessons learned and tales that make your spirit burn. One heart, one mind, one soul to share. It's life retold in chronicle flair. A comedy, a balladry, a musical, a chronicle sincere. From laughs to feels, from beats to tales, the T-Riffic show prevails. Yet a dazzling, heartfelt truth and giggles show it all.
Well, wasn't that magical? Now for the story of a character who discovers the courage to start, love to follow, and a story waiting to be told in the most unexpected of ways.
Evan sat cross-legged on the bedroom floor, surrounded by towers of notebooks that seemed to grow taller every day. Some were spiral-bound, some leather, some half-filled, and some completely blank. To anyone else, it might have looked like clutter, but to Evan, each notebook held possibility, a whisper of a dream waiting to be written. The strange part was that Evan had stories, lots of them. They lived in his mind constantly. Epic adventures, awkward confessions, funny mishaps, and quiet little moments that felt important for reasons he couldn't always explain. The ideas were there, swirling around like colorful leaves in a breeze. But whenever he actually reached for a pen to write them down, something strange happened. The stories scattered. Ideas that felt vivid a moment before would suddenly slip away. Words hid from him. The page stayed stubbornly blank, quiet as moonlight. Evan would stare at it, waiting for something to appear, but nothing ever did. So the notebooks kept stacking up. The room itself was quiet that afternoon, almost too quiet. The air felt still, like it was holding its breath. Then suddenly, tap. Evan looked up. Tap, tap. Someone was knocking on the window. It wasn't loud. In fact, it sounded almost polite, like whoever was knocking didn't want to interrupt too much. A soft breeze slipped through the slightly open window, carrying the faint scent of lilacs and warm sunlight. Evan stood up slowly and walked toward the sound. And that's when something impossible happened. A notebook floated through the window. Not tossed. Not blown by the wind floating. It hovered gently above the floor, glowing faintly, as if it were alive in some quiet way. Evan blinked twice, his mouth hanging slightly open. "Who sent this?" he whispered to the empty room. No one answered. But the notebook drifted down and opened by itself. Its pages were completely blank, yet they shimmered faintly in the light. It looked like the beginning of something unknown. Then a small folded note slipped out from between the pages. It floated softly downward and landed near Evan's foot. He picked it up and unfolded it. The message was simple. "Start anywhere. I'll catch the rest. Dare to dare." Evan stood there for a moment, reading the words again. Then he picked up a pen. At first he hesitated, like he always did. The blank page stared back at him. But this time he tried something different. He wrote one word, then another, then a sentence. Soon a line of confession appeared on the page, awkward, honest, and completely real. A paragraph followed, and then another. Feelings he didn't even realize he had been carrying began to spill out. The stories that had been waiting inside him for so long were finally breaking through. Some sentences were clumsy. Some ideas stumbled. Words crossed each other out, and mistakes splashed across the page like sudden rain. But strangely, none of it felt wrong. Each mistake turned into rhythm. Each pause became part of the flow. The letters seemed to glow like tiny lanterns in the room, and the sentences stretched outward like kites catching the wind. As Evan wrote, something even stranger happened around him. The towers of notebooks began to shift. What had once looked like tall, timid skyscrapers slowly rearranged themselves. The stacks leaned together, forming bridges between one another. Soon the room looked less like a storage space and more like a maze of pathways made of stories and ideas. Everywhere Evan looked, there were routes to explore. And still, he wrote. Sentences grew longer. Paragraphs soared. Each word felt like a small victory. Each phrase felt like something worth celebrating. The timid beating of his heart began to grow louder. Every letter felt like a drumbeat. Every period and comma felt proud to exist. Then, outside the window, something caught his attention. Movement. Evan glanced up and saw a friend standing outside, smiling warmly in the sunlight. They weren't saying anything, just waiting. Evan looked down at the pages he had written. They were messy, imperfect. Some lines zigzagged across the page. Words had been crossed out and rewritten, but they were alive. He leaned back with a deep breath, his chest rising with a quiet sense of delight. The room around him seemed to shimmer with words reflecting the light. They just needed to exist. They needed space to breathe. All that mattered was beginning. Evan walked over to the window, clutching the glowing notebook carefully in his hands. His friend waved. Evan laughed and waved back. Together they stepped into the afternoon, ready for whatever chapters might come next. The pen had simply shown him the way, and the unwritten story had become his today. So remember, T-Riffic friends, even when the page seems empty, even when the words feel far away, the magic lives in starting, in daring, in trying.
So remember, my T-Riffic friends, your story is yours. It's precious, it's bold, and it's unwritten. That is, of course, until you make it real. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep writing, keep singing, and as always, I emphasize, please, stay terrific.
Just in cause.